Hi, hello, and welcome again everybody to an unscripted video of Natural Juan, and this isn't like the common videos that you usually see on my channel. Again, this is more or less a political video, and I know I've been gone for quite a while now, but that's just because it's been really busy in my life and I've started a new job and everything. I'm trying to get myself established. Now, perhaps eventually I'll go back to making videos regularly. I mean, I'm still working on scripts and other stuff so that I can still make more content, but at the moment I'm just busy with the way things are going at my new workplace. So, I'm making this video as a political warning that please vote wisely. Um, I don't know for you non-Filipinos out there who are tuning into my channel on Monday, and that would be 12th of May. We will be having our senatorial election. So we're gonna choose who's going to be the next batch of senators who's gonna be running this place. Thing is, though, a lot of people are still easily swayed by propaganda and other stuff like that. And I would warn you that please do it right this time. Thing is, there's been a lot going on politically in the Philippines. One of our former presidents was arrested by the International Criminal Court and is now facing crimes against humanity charges. I mean, that is something else, right? And yeah, there's still a lot of people defending him. There's a lot of people who saying that it wasn't really a crime against humanity and that he was just doing what he could to protect the country. Now, no doubt, that's what he tells himself and that's what he tells his followers. But right now, I'm going to tell you that everything that happened was very indiscriminate, it was very cruel, and it was very pointless. Students died. Students who, well, see, the previous administration says that it was about drugs, about drug war and everything. But if you will look at the list of victims, a lot of those victims weren't even drug users. And even now, when you try to defend the opposition, I mean the people who had the former president arrested, as well as the people who are currently celebrating that the former president is no longer in the country and is now facing criminal charges, and even the people in the international court, they're saying that they're supporting drugs and everything. But I'll tell you that that is false. See, take a look at it. The former president is shown to be associated with people who actually established the drug trade in the Philippines, or at least big players in it. So why isn't he doing anything about them, eh? So another thing is that I don't really think that drugs is okay. Yeah, drug abuse is a problem in the Philippines, and it continues to be a huge problem in the Philippines. But see, it's not the main problem. And if you will ask me, what we actually need is a better grasp of psychology, a better understanding of psychology, and a better application of psychology. Okay, first things first. People say that it was the drug users who went forth and abused and killed so many people in the Philippines. Now, it's true that a lot of these people were using, illegal narcotics. Another thing I'll say is that it's what I think what we really have in the Philippines is a wealth of people with mental disorders who become, for lack of a better term, murderous, or are willing to kill others because of psychological problems. Now, the drugs, what you'll have to know, see, when it comes to substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, they just take off your inhibitions. They prevent the things that stop you from doing bad things from actually stopping you. So in the end, you do bad things like um, do something nasty to relatives like your kids or any minors in your family. Without inhibitions, you'll get carried away by your anger, and you'll end up hurting the people you love. And that's the thing. The narcotics just make it easier for people with problems like that to do that. So it's not the drugs itself. The drugs just make it worse. I'll say that. It makes things worse, and we do need to do something about it. But the root cause of all this is a problem with psychology in the Philippines, with the Filipino way of thinking. Okay, so I already told you about that, about the anger problems and stuff like sexual perversion. And the thing is, for a lot of us, and see, the thing is, in the Philippines, psychology is constantly maligned by misinformed people. They tend to think that if you go to a psychologist or psychiatrist, something must be wrong with your mind, you must be crazy, stuff like that. But you know it's wrong, because you need to approach people who know the way we think so that they can give you a better understanding of, of what you're thinking and maybe the things that you shouldn't be thinking. For example, you should not be thinking sexual thoughts about minors, for example. You shouldn't be thinking sexual thoughts about the deceased or, say, animals. But but again, most people will say, "Well, I'm not like that. Why would I even think of that?" But see, that's just denial. And a lot of psychologists agree that the more you go into denial with things, the worse it'll get. And so that's why a lot of horrible, horrible things happen in the Philippines, because we try to deny that. We refuse to accept that psychological help might be the help that we actually need. Now, another thing is that we so another thing that's the problem. Again, they tend to blame all crime on drugs. But the thing is, not all drug users are criminals, and not all criminals are drug users. Now, I'm not defending them. I'm just telling you what's true. I'm just telling you what you should be looking out for. See, I notice in Filipino culture, we have a very poor understanding of okay, I'm gonna discuss them here, even if it's difficult. We have a very poor understanding of mass murderers, stuff like serial killers and spree killers. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference between a spree killer and a serial killer? Okay. A spree killer is someone who suddenly kills a lot of people within a short period of time. These include people like shooters, like in America they talk about shootings or shooters. Those are spree killers because they kill a lot of people within a very short time period. Now, a serial killer, they kill multiple people within a long period of time. And they are, now, the thing about this is those kinds of people, serial killers, they're really good social manipulators. Examples that I would point out are like Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, they made a documentary about that guy on Netflix. And yeah, Charles Manson, he formed a cult called the Manson family. And that's another thing I'd like to discuss maybe in some other video about cults and stuff like that. See, these people are good at hiding their insanity, usually behind a facade of normalcy or good looks. Like Dahmer and Manson, they were pretty good looking guys, and they were able to hide it well. Now, this is double for females. serial killers. And if you look at their records, their it is true that the most prolific serial killers are often women, because it's easy for them to hide that there's something wrong with them, that they are, murderers. And some of these murderers, they don't really need drugs or anything like that to kill. They just they have the will to do it. It's like in a Marvel comic book featuring Carnage. He just said that all you need is will, and it's true. See, these mass murderers, they're good at hiding the fact that to them killing is easy. That's the kind of people they are. And what I really hated about the drug war is that by focusing solely on drug abuse, these kinds of people get away with what they're doing, when in fact authorities should be focusing on finding people like these and stopping them. But because we rely too much on the concept of drug users being murderers, they get overlooked and they get away with what they're doing, and then they end up hurting and ending the life of more people. Sad reality is we don't even have a good concept of mass murderers here in the Philippines. Now, you hear a lot of aswang stories, stories about shape-shifting monsters, and they even have them in the modern age. But as one psychological profiler and criminologist in Canada once said, she's First Nation descent, that all the ideas of shape-shifting monsters could just be connected to the idea of mass murderers. See, like a part of the human mind rejects the idea that a normal human being could do the horrible things they're doing. But in reality, it is true. Like, a lot of mythologizing goes on, and people just figure them out. They're not really human anyway. But the reality is, I think, the fact that there are many stories of shape-shifting monsters in the Philippines is probably indicative that we actually have a lot of mass murderers here. People just, try not to think that they're human. But anyway, that's my point about the so-called drug war that occurred. So I would strongly recommend not to vote for anyone who continues to support the drug war. And please don't vote for, people who have no real track record. There's a comedian right now who's running for Senate, and people tend to say, oh, well, what about Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky? He's a comedian too. Well, it's true, but Zelensky finished law. He finished law school in the Ukraine, and he had his own plans. But the comedians that are running for Senate, I doubt they even have plans, actually. Zelensky was very admirable because he had a plan to, do something about Russia and maybe prevent further war or stop the war in Ukraine. But that didn't work out too well. So that's that. Well, anyway, just a few announcements. Like I said, I'm busy with life right now, but I will be posting more videos pretty soon. But just to let you guys know, I think I'll be focusing more on stories from now on rather than, documentaries and such. That's because I barely have time to do a lot of research, so I'll be focusing on stories. I'll also be focusing on my blogs, my websites, where I actually post stories. So anyway, that's most of what I'll be doing now that I found work again in a place that's a little far from where I actually live. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Expect more from me pretty soon. So thank you for watching another episode of Natural Juan. I'll see you guys around once I get another video up. So you guys take it easy. And again, To my fellow Filipinos, vote wisely on Monday. And for non-Filipinos who might be watching this, vote wisely as well. Don't vote for the corrupt or the incompetent.